lot better, Save.
Welcome to Truck Your Podcast. My name is Sebastian.
Jose, guys.
How are you?
Great.
Take number 2. We have today. We're going to talk about labor times and labor times around engine work, right? So turbos, correct. Overhauls,
EGR
DPFs,
coolers.
EGRs. So we have a list of things that we're going to talk about. I think just labor times itself. I don't think we're going to go and look at part prices. We really don't have any. We can give some approximate numbers.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
There's so many variables and different options with different, obviously, engine manufacturers.
Engine manufacturers, also the chassis on the vehicle. It all depends. All the DPFs are set up differently on every chassis, so there's more labor to it.
I would say let's maybe start with what happened in the shop this week.
Oh, we're getting that 12 points ready to. Got the head installed. Everything's on there. Just gonna adjust the valves today and oil pan. Hopefully start it up.
Okay. Yeah, let's start it up, and we have another one in line. So
the auto frame.
Yeah, that's gonna be time consuming.
Yeah, that one is.
What else did we have that was interesting last week?
We had a SCR on the DF
harness.
DF harness.
DF
on
harness
a
on a low mileage too, right?
Yeah, it only has 240,000.
Yeah, that's interesting. What happened there?
It had a bad connection for the DF dosing unit.
Mm-hmm.
Corrosion.
Okay. Pretty easy fix. Then we got the harness.
And it was pretty cheap. The harness was like $150, so not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Do you want to start off with how do we want to take this? I'm thinking we should probably maybe
start off on the bigger side?
Yeah, on the overhauls.
Yeah. So like on your in-frames, you should expect to pay from $4,000 $5,000 within that range should be
labor. Just labor.
And labor.
Just clarifying, we're talking about labor.
Labor, yeah. What do you want to just...
So let's explain first. I want to make sure that we explain that we're basing this at an average price of $100.
$100, yeah,
per labor hour, because shops, obviously, you have different scope of prices, but at the same time, dealers will have 150 to plus, or it varies. So we based it on
at $100.
Yeah, $100. Yeah, and it's approximate cost. It's nothing.
It can be more or less.
It's to give our audience basis in what kind of what to expect, or just to give you better context if you do have some of those things that you need to address. So the overhauls.
So overhauls, you should be looking to pay from $4,000 to $5,000 roughly. EGR valve replacement. Well, on the overhaul, that's just labor. Parts you can be spending. Parts and labor, you should be looking at, I would say, from the lowest $12,000 and up.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah.
On the cheaper side.
Yeah.
You can possibly get somewhere with the 10s. All depends.
It depends, and it's you know what, I'm reading a book, and it's a side note, but and the guy said it was like when we're in business and we get a good deal on something, we want to pass it down to the customer, right? And it feels almost unnatural because you obviously want to have the margins, but at the same time, I feel like if the shops do get good deals on parts and still have a little bit of margin in it
for profit
and profit, then that customer walks out a lot happier, and with lower cost. But again, just a side note that I've been reading about Sam Walton, Walmart.
Okay,
really cool book. Just a side note, and then. I would say 12 for sure.
Yeah, 12 easily, right?
That's a good ballpark. What's next? So we looked it up at 55, 60. We did start looking at ISX. But I would say that's kind of a rule.
Yeah.
Right, for even cats.
Yeah, because like on ISX, for instance, radiator has to come out for sure, because in order to remove the head, the camshafts have to come out, whether single or dual, and the cams. In order to get the cams, the radiator has to get out.
Yeah.
And that's definitely extra labor right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Same with the Caterpillar, same setup. Cam has to go out first.
Perfect.
Oh no, actually it doesn't. I'm sorry about that. It doesn't.
Good. Because you corrected yourself.
Yeah.
Let's say EGR valve. What about EGR?
EGR
labor
valve.
Costs.
I'd probably expect to pay 300 roughly.
300. Yeah. I say definitely around that range.
Around that range because of the reason being exhaust. There's always rust. The heat and cold, that's gonna take a beating on all the bolts, clamps. So it's gonna be harder to remove. It all depends on what region you are in the country too. Yeah. So if you're living in no rust-free zone, so you're gonna expect to pay a little bit less, I would say.
True.
Midwest, there's a lot of rust, so.
Yeah, that's 100% true. EGR Cooler.
EGR Cooler, it's 700 to 900 roughly. It could be less, it could be more. All depends on right now we're doing this based on a variety of engines. It could be Detroit, Caterpillar, ISX, DD15s.
Mm-hmm.
I
say 700-900 for sure. It's a good ballpark. Again, any opinion around cleaning EGR coolers?
EGR Cooler, they do. Yeah, I would recommend it. Sending them out.
Yeah. Would you be able to put a ballpark price around
on the cleaning?
Yeah.
I mean, the removal, the labor wise, is still going to be the same. Just the cleaning, I would say you're going to pay around 300.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Next up, we have the DOC and the DPF.
Mm-hmm. Just for removing an installation, though.
Yeah, correct. From 300 to 400 roughly, plus the cleaning. I would say it's around the same price range. They charge 350 and up.
Mm-hmm. A good place will be a little more expensive, but again, didn't we have a situation with one of the customers that it was cleaned and it wasn't cleaned?
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna mention that one.
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, that customer had a bad. He's been owning the shop for a couple years now. He's been taking his trucks there, and he got a lot of work done on the vehicle. They said they replaced the ABS sensor. It was never replaced. It was clearly visible. All this was, the invoice was done, billed out a month ago. Everything was definitely a lot older. Dude, it was just horrible.
It's crazy. Again, I know that, I don't know. That's why we do this, to create more resources for everybody to learn and look at things, right? Because you assume
you want to trust
ethical, and I think it sucks, but it's definitely, because it's the never ending, and I don't want to brag about this, but it's the never ending battle between, I don't want to spend much time money on fixing something versus fix it correctly, right?
Yeah.
And I've had those situations before with customers, and they understand we do things right, but I also tell them it is going to cost you because we're going to do it right, and if you want to do it not the way it's supposed to be done and try to duct tape it, then
cheaper side, but you're not going to get the right quality,
of course. And go find a shop that will do it, and that's okay. And that's your conscious decision. 100% be responsible for that, right?
Yeah. See, the sad thing is, in that situation for the customer, is he's been taking his trucks there for so long. He trusted them, and they screwed him over. I guess you would.
Do you think was it getting screwed, or the thing was incompetency of the tech or somebody that didn't care, and maybe the manager cared or the shop owner cared, but
because they also said they fixed his fuel tank and they charged him for a weld, and they just put JB Weld on there.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. Okay, let's move on. I'll leave no comment around that, but.
Next up is the turbo replacement. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so expect to pay to 300 to 400 roughly. For instance, being some of the newer turbos have actuators, so you have to drain the coolant. There's more to it than just 4 mounting studs and oil drain and feed lines.
Yeah.
Again, the rust is a big factor on this as well.
Totally agree.
Next up is the
DF dosing unit.
Yeah, DF dosing unit. Roughly, I would say 150 and up.
Mm-hmm.
All depends.
That's a
quick one.
That's not too bad. Especially those around those, I would say we should maybe mention that anything around DEF and SCR is just since because it's just harness there and it's so prone to weather outside conditions that some shops, and I don't want to generalize again, they just want to start throwing a new SCR, and that's not always the case, right? Like we had a high mileage truck and we were able to save it because the whole harness was eaten and the SCR was still fine. When we swapped it and ran efficiency tests on it, it was
a lot better.
It was so much better. So yeah, I would say just around SCR, just wanted to make a quick side note around how harness just has,
and also
so
don't run the
impact.
DF tank low. That's really bad,
especially in winter.
The cold weather.
I think we previously mentioned it, but I would if you're getting a quarter, just fill it up all the way up, and you're gonna be fine.
7th injector. Yeah. 150 to 300, all depends. D13s, they have 2 bolts, so that's an easy,
That's an easy one.
Easy one. But
is there one that's not easy? As long as access, probably.
Access, yeah, exactly.
That's gonna.
So the Cascadians with the DE15, it's a little bit less room, but everything is doable. It's just gonna be more time consuming.
Yeah. Okay.
Next up is Alternator. I would say expect to pay at least 150 for a replacement. Mm-hmm. And these Alternator, this would be the price for in shop. Obviously, if it's over the road, those guys are gonna get you for Alternator.
Yeah, that's a good point. Those prices are only for when you're doing it at home with the shop, maybe local, not on-road repair for sure.
Yes,
I forgot about that. We didn't mention it.
Those guys find an opportunity, they're going to take it.
Mm-hmm. And again, I've had some crazy stories, but maybe some other time. We should that would be a good podcast. Crazy on-road repairs
and the pricing. Just give a rough estimate how much.
Oh, that's so good. That's a good one.
Next up, we have overheads. Overhead, I would expect to pay roughly $350.
Mm-hmm.
$350
plus to $450.
Depends on the access, because, like, for instance, if you have a Kenworth T2000, the access sucks with a Caterpillar engine. Mm-hmm. Same with a Freightliner with a Caterpillar. It all depends on the body too. So we're just throwing prices out there.
That's a good price. Yeah, it's definitely a good price.
Injector replacement. Expect to pay $200 to $300 roughly.
Okay. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, because like it all comes down to the access to replacing.
And I agree with the the bracket that we were agreeing on, because obviously,
it makes sense, right?
It makes sense, and it's like if you're looking across all the manufacturers, sometimes
some you get more access, like a Coronado or a Classic. You got a lot of space right there, so it's going to be a lot faster compared to, let's say, a day cab.
Oh, D13.
Yeah.
Day cab D13.
A D13, you got some good access.
Yeah.
As long as it's not in a day cab. But if you got a sleeper, you got plenty of room.
That's why I said day cab. But even, or even a cab over, but that's a different story. Exhaust manifold.
Yeah. So minimum of 500 to 850. And that I would say that's without... ISX is known for breaking exhaust manifold bolts, so you got to drill them out or extract them. So I would say that's an extra labor, without a doubt.
True.
So expect to pay at least that without the broken bolts and studs. Clutch replacement within the $800 to $1,200 range. All depends, because some of the vehicles, again, with how they have their exhaust set up, you have to remove the DPF, SCR. It's going to be in your way, so that has to be removed. Volvo is a really good setup, so you don't have to remove any of that. No air tanks, none of that. Yeah. Unlike a Freightliner, you have to remove air tanks, filters as well. So, Kingpins, roughly from $800 to $1,200 as well, on the front end. Yeah.
If everything is going. the way it's supposed to.
There's guys when they do kingpins that they don't separate the hub from the spindle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot faster, but in my opinion, it's always better to, obviously, once you have the hub on the spindle, spin it. Make sure you don't hear no bearing noise. If you're gonna go that route, at least inspect the bearings.
Yeah.
Because you're not separating out the hub from the spindle. You have no idea what that bearing looks like.
Mm-hmm. And that all work is for nothing if your bearings are messed up.
Springs, right?
Springs. Kingpins. You went through kingpin springs, yeah.
Yeah, springs roughly 800 for both sides, 4 hours on each side.
Mm-hmm.
More or less, this is on the, I would say, a little bit on the higher side.
And I say do the spring bushings.
Spring bushings
immediately with that.
On the hangers, well, the springs already come with the bushings installed, pressed in. Mm-hmm. But on the hangers, make sure you get those inspected as well.
Yeah, but some guys are like, just change my bushings.
Yeah,
like,
no,
dude.
It's doable, but usually the spring is either worn out.
No,
it's not gonna work out.
Yeah, it's both. Okay. Anything else you want to throw in? I'm looking at our list. We covered a significant amount. Anything else that comes to mind?
Let's see. Main and rod bearings, roughly, I would say.
We just did that on the comments.
On the ISX, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually like $1,200, I would say, on labor. Plus parts, obviously. Make sure you replace your oil pump too while you're at it too.
Yeah.
Radiator replacement. What do you think?
Ooh.
It's tough because it all depends on the model.
Mm-hmm. Approximate time.
Between, I would say, 500 at the lowest.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah, 500 up.
Mm-hmm. What I'm thinking about is Diag.
Yeah.
Because that's an endless black hole of how you're diagnosing trucks and how much it I think I want to touch on that for a little bit because shops could take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Right. When they tell you they diagnosed something for longer than they actually did. And that's a very difficult one to kind of pinpoint and explain.
Like the whole electrical situation, Diag, it's usually on the harder side to diagnose, but when you find the issue, it's a quick fix. Unlike the mechanical, like it's an easier Diag, and the labor, it takes a little bit longer to, for instance, you got coolant in the oil. Okay, let me check it out. Pressure test it. Oh, you got a bad liner. Okay, so you need an overhaul. So the Diag was quick, but the labor is going to be a little bit longer.
Yeah. I think especially around electrical issues and harnesses, it's how do you if customer doesn't really understand it, how do you let them know? I mean, how do you explain to them why is it taking so long, right?
Yeah,
and
correct.
I've said that before. I'm like, we can start throwing parts at it, or we can spend more time trying to find the issue.
Yeah.
Right? No, and some guys are totally fine with it. Some guys just don't get it in general, just again because it's spending more money on what seems to be not really moving forward, right?
Yeah.
But with that one fix that we had, remember, that I mentioned before.
Oh, with the SCR, right?
Yeah. I mean, I really think even a dealer would throw a new SCR.
They're gonna start throwing parts in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it too.
Yeah. And we saved them a tremendous amount.
Oh, let's throw an SCR. Oh, let's throw DPF. Oh,
yeah.
You know what? Let's just throw in a new harness. Oh, that was a fix.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, perfect. I think we got enough for today's podcast. I think if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave comments underneath the video. Let us know what you guys would like to hear more. There's definitely more episodes coming up. We're approaching we're working on some new things coming up, so we're gonna keep you posted. And
if they have any other topics they want to suggest, we'll
throw us an email. We're gonna have some guests coming up. soon. I already told you about a couple. We're gonna bring some owner operators, talk about their journey, and that's pretty much it for today. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and talk to you soon.